It was a quiet night in the small town of New Arden. The stars above were bright, the wind was soft. Dr. Liana Voss, a kind and smart young doctor, was working late at the town's small clinic. She was always the last to leave. Helping people was her life. Tonight, a young boy had come in with a high fever. Liana treated him with care, smiled at his mother, and said, "He will be okay now. Just let him rest." The mother left with tears of thanks. Liana sighed and looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. Outside the street was empty. Just the soft hum of streetlights and the chirping of crickets filled the air. Liana locked the clinic door and walked toward her car. She was tired but peaceful. She looked up at the sky. Something felt strange. The stars seemed wrong. One of them was moving. At first she thought it was a plane, but it moved too fast and then stopped. It just floated there, above the town. Glowing blue, her eyes widened. A low humming sound filled the air suddenly. A bright blue beam of light shot down from the sky. It hit the street right in front of her. Liana dropped her keys and stepped back. The light pulsed, her heart pounded. She turned to run, but her legs felt heavy. Her body wouldn't move. The air became thick, like it was pressing down on her. From the light, a dark shape appeared. Tall figure, thin, with long arms and glowing green eyes, stepped forward. Then another, and another. They were not human. Liana tried to scream, but no sound came. The creatures walked toward her in silence. One of them raised a small device. A soft hum, a flash of white, and everything went black. Liana woke up in a metal room. The lights above her were cold and white. She was lying on a silver table. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. Her body felt sore. Her head was spinning. Where am I?" she whispered. A door slid open with a sharp hiss. Two of the tall alien beings entered. They wore black suits, and their skin was gray, almost silver. One of them looked at a floating screen. The other came closer. "You are awake." The voice echoed in her mind, not through sound, but thought. Liana sat up, afraid. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" "You are a healer," the voice answered. "You fixed the small human child. We watched. You showed potential." "Potential for what?" she asked. The alien turned. "You will help us. Your body is special. We will make it stronger." Liana's eyes went wide. "No, you can't use me like that." She jumped off the table and ran toward the door. The walls shifted. The floor moved under her feet. The room changed shape like it was alive. She fell to the ground. Another voice spoke now, this one deeper and colder. "Prepare her for the first trial." The aliens picked her up, ignoring her screams, and carried her out. They took her to a larger chamber, dark and filled with machines. In the center, a large glass tube stood waiting. Inside it, glowing liquid bubbled. Strange shadows moved within. The liquid, Liana fought back. "Let me go." The aliens pushed her into the tube. The glass closed around her. The liquid began to rise. She banged on the glass, trying to hold her breath. But as the fluid reached her face, it entered her lungs. She was sure she would die, but she didn't. She breathed it, and it didn't hurt. Instead, something changed. Her body became warm. Her skin glowed. Her heart beat faster, then slower, then stronger. Her mind filled with flashes of color, pain, and memory. She saw stars, ships, and planets she had never visited. She saw herself healing people not with tools, but with her hands alone. Then the voice returned. "You are becoming more than human." When the liquid drained, she collapsed on the metal floor. Her hands trembled. She looked at them. Something was different. Her skin had marks glowing faintly blue. Her breath was calm, steady. Her fear was gone. One alien stepped forward, almost curious. Test result. Early success. Liana stood, weak but alive. "Did you do to me?" "We unlocked what was hidden inside. Your gift will grow. You're no longer just a healer. You're a creation now." Liana stared at them. She was angry, scared, but deep inside something else stirred, power. And a question. What am I becoming? Back on Earth. People searched for her. Her car was still in the parking lot. Her clinic lights were off. No one saw her again. Some said she ran away. Some said she died. But the stars above, New Arden told a different story, because one of them still floated, glowing faintly blue watching, and up there, to court. In the cold dark of space, Dr. Liana Voss had begun to change forever. Liana lay still on the cold metal floor. Her body was weak, but her mind was racing. She tried to understand what had happened to her. The glowing marks on her skin still pulsed with light. Her heart beat slower than before, stronger, deeper. It didn't feel like her own anymore. She looked around the strange room. It had no windows. The walls were smooth silver and alive, moving slightly like breathing skin. Machines blinked with alien lights. Screens floated in the air, showing symbols she couldn't read. Her head throbbed. Suddenly a door opened with a loud hiss. 2 aliens walked in, taller than any human she had ever seen. Their faces were long, with dark eyes and no mouths. They looked down at her without emotion. "Subject is stable," one of them said. Again using thought speech. "You changed me," Liana said, standing up slowly. "You used me." The taller one stepped forward. "You survived the first trial. That proves your value. Now we begin the real work." Liana backed away. "I won't help you. You already are." They took her through a long, curved hallway. The lights changed as they walked: blue, then green, then red. The air was colder here. In the distance, Liana heard low growling. She didn't know if it was an animal or something worse. Finally, they entered another lab, larger, darker, filled with tanks and strange floating creatures inside. On one side, cages held other beings, prisoners like her. Some looked human. Some did not. One prisoner, a man with silver hair and golden eyes, looked up as she passed. "She's the one," he whispered. The alien strapped Liana to another metal table. This one had arms that moved and changed shape. A machine hovered above her face, clicking in worry. Test 2. Neural expansion. A bright light hit her eyes. She screamed. Pain exploded in her head. Images flashed, memories that weren't hers. Wars, stars dying, planets burning. Then something strange. She saw herself. Standing tall, glowing, healing a creature with just her hands. Then blackness. When she woke again, her skin was wet with sweat. She was in a different room, now a soft chamber, with dim lights and a single bench. Her hand shook as she looked at them. They still glowed faintly, but now something else had changed. She felt things, not just her own emotions, but the feelings of others. Someone was in pain nearby. She could feel their fear. She walked to the wall. "What are you doing to me?" a voice answered from above. "We are unlocking your potential. Humans were never meant to stay weak. You will be our proof." "I didn't ask for this," she said. "No one asks to become legend." The next day, they brought her to a glass room with another prisoner, inside a small creature. Badly wounded, breathing fast, it had deep cuts and broken bones. It looked like a child. Liana gasped. "Why are you showing me this?" The alien said. Liana hesitated. "I'm not a doctor anymore. You are more than that now." She stepped forward and knelt by the creature. Its eyes met hers. It didn't speak, but she felt its pain inside her mind. She reached out, touched its chest. Warmth flowed from her hand. A golden light spread from her fingers into the creature's skin. Slowly, the cuts closed. Its breathing slowed. The broken limbs twisted and healed. Liana's eyes filled with tears. The creature sat up, blinked, and held her hand. She looked up at the watching aliens. "How? Your gift is growing." Liana pulled her hand away, afraid. "What if it grows too much?" The alien's voice turned colder. "Then even we will fear you." Back in her chamber, Liana sat alone. Her mind was full of questions. What was happening to her? Why had they chosen her? And most of all, how much longer could she survive this? Night, she dreamed of fire. She stood in the center of a burning city. Aliens bowed before her. Others ran from her. Her hands glowed, but not gold red, blood red. She woke up screaming. Later, she was taken back to the first lab. The silver-haired prisoner was there again. This time he spoke with strength. You healed the little one. You're watching you. Closely now. Who are you? Liana asked. My name is Tarn. I've been here for 10 cycles. They used me too, but I was not strong enough. Liana looked at him. Why are they doing this? They want a weapon? Tarn said. No warlord can fight something that heals and kills at the same time. Liana's voice trembled. Then I'm not a doctor anymore. Tarn stepped closer. No, you're something far more dangerous now. As the door closed behind her that night, she heard the voice of the alien leader once more. The healer is almost ready. The lights in the alien hallway flickered as Liana walked between 2 guards. Her wrists were locked in glowing cuffs. The metal walls around her pulsed like they were alive. Every step echoed loudly. This wasn't the same girl from Earth anymore. Her eyes now glowed softly blue. Her skin still showed the alien marksteen, glowing lines that followed her veins. The tests had changed her, but not her heart. She still wanted to be free, and now she had a plan. Earlier that day, she had seen a map of the ship on a floating screen. Just for a second, but enough. She remembered where the main power hub was. If she could reach it, maybe she could shut down the lab systems. Maybe. Escape. She needed help, and she knew exactly who she could trust. Turb. Back in her small room, she sat quietly on the floor. Her cuffs had vanished, and the wall turned transparent. Across the hall, Tarn was in his cell, sitting with eyes closed. She reached out with her thoughts. Not words. Feelings help. Tonight, escaped Tarna. Opened his eyes slowly. He gave a tiny nod. He had heard her. Hours passed. Then came the moment. 2 guards entered Liana's cell. Time for new phase. One said, his voice echoing in her head. They tried to cuff her again. But this time, Liana moved fast, with one deep breath. She pushed her hand forward, and light exploded from her palm. A wave of golden energy hit the guards. One slammed into the wall. The other fell back, stunned. She stared at her hands in shock. I didn't even mean to do that. There was no time. She ran. The hallway lights turned red. Sirens blared. Subject escaped. Level 3. Lockdown initiated. Doors began to close, but she slid under the last one just in time. Across the hall, Tarn broke free too. His cell door opened. Liana's energy had shorted the nearby locks. Tarn grabbed a fallen guard's weapon. It hummed with purple light. You really did change, he said as he ran beside her. They were right to fear you. I just want out of here, she said. Then follow me. They ran through the twisting hallways. Drones flew from the ceiling, shooting stun blasts. Tarn shot one down, then another. Liana raised her hand, and one drone just froze in midair. Its lights went out. It dropped to the ground, dead Darton. Looked at her again. That's new. I don't know how I did it. Hope you keep doing it. They reached the power hub. A tall glowing tower stood in the center of the room. Strange wires crawled across the floor like vines. Alien. Energy flowed through them. Tarn pointed. That core powers the prison section. We disable it. We cut the locks, doors, and cameras. But how? Liana asked. I shoot, you cover. Aimed the weapon and fired. A loud boom shook the room. Sparks flew. Sirens screamed. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed behind them. Alien. Soldiers entered, tall and armed. Liana stepped forward. Stay behind me. Her heart raced. Her hands glowed. The soldiers fired energy blasts. She threw her hands forward, and the blasts stopped mid-dash air. They hovered like glowing bubbles, and then flew back, hitting the soldiers who fired them. They dropped instantly. Tarn stared, shocked. You're not a weapon. You're a storm. With the power cord damaged, doors across the lab opened. Other prisoners began to escape. Alarms rang louder. Everything was falling apart. Liana and Tarn joined the crowd running toward the landing bays, but the path was blocked. A tall alien larger than the others stood there. Its skin was black like stone. Its eyes were fire red. "Do not let her leave," the voice growled. "She is not finished." The alien charged. Tarn fired. It didn't stop. Liana screamed and raised both hands. A wave of light burst from her. Time slowed. The air shimmered. The creature froze, then collapsed, shaking. She didn't kill it. She just stopped it all around. Other aliens stepped back in fear. Liana looked down at her glowing hands. "I don't want to hurt anyone. Just want to go home." Tarn placed a hand on her shoulder. "You can't go home yet. They'll come for you. You're too powerful now." "Then what do? You run, you hide. When the time is right, you fight." They reached the small escape pod dock. One pod remained. Torno opened the hatch. "Get in. I'll launch it. I'll find another way out." "No," she said. "We both go." But he shook his head. "They'll follow you, not me. We'll need time. I'll buy it." Liana stepped into the pod, her heart heavy. Tan pressed a code on the panel before the door closed. He smiled. "Don't waste the gift." The hatch sealed, and the pod launched into the stars. Inside the pod, Liana sat alone, shaking. Alarms still echoed in her ears. The stars outside spun slowly as the pod moved through. Space. She didn't know where she was going. She didn't know who she was becoming, but she knew one thing. She would never be their prisoner again. Liana floated alone in space. The escape pod was small, just big enough for one person. It hummed softly as it drifted through the stars. She sat quietly, wrapped in a silver emergency blanket. Her glowing skin had dimmed now, but the strange marks still covered her hands and arms. She didn't know where she was going. The pod's screen showed a nearby planet, dark red, with a strange ring of metal around it. The words blinked in alien script. But one part was clear. Warning. Warlord Territor. Liana's heart sank. She had escaped one prison, and now she was heading straight into another. The pod was caught by the planet's gravity. It shook violently as it entered the atmosphere. Liana grabbed the seat straps and held on tight. Flames licked the sides of the pod as it dropped through thick, stormy clouds. Boom. The pod crashed hard into red sand. Smoke rose into the air. The door burst open. Liana coughed and climbed out. Planet was hot. The sky was dark orange. Huge machines flew overhead, black ships shaped like claws. The ground was cracked and dry. Towers made of steel and bone stood tall in the distance. She had landed in a battlefield. Blaster fire echoed in the air. A group of armored aliens ran toward her. They wore jagged armor and had glowing red weapons. Behind them, a tall creature shouted orders. His skin was purple and thick like armor. His eyes burned like fire. Liana backed away. One soldier raised his weapon and pointed it at her. "Stay back," she shouted. They didn't stop. She closed her eyes. Her hands began to glow. A burst of light exploded from her chest. The soldiers were thrown backward, like leaves in the wind.
Ow, one of them groaned. Another crawled away, terrified.
The tall commander didn't move. He stared at her with a strange expression. He raised his hand and smiled. Later, Liana sat in a cold cell. Metal chains held her wrists. She wasn't hurt, just tired. The tall commander now stood before her. His voice was deep and rough. "You are the human healer the lab spoke of." Liana narrowed her eyes. "I'm not a healer anymore."
He
Chuckled. "No, you are more. That's why I brought you here. Not as a prisoner, but as a guest." She didn't believe him. "I am Warlord Kryn," he said. "I control this system. I crush armies. But even I cannot fix what you can." He stepped closer. "My son is dying." Liana blinked. "Your son?" Kryn nodded. "He was wounded in battle. Our doctors failed. The labs told me about you. The human who heals with light. So I took a chance." "You crashed my pod," she said. He shrugged. "It was the only way to stop you." They brought her to a medical chamber inside a dark palace. The room was quiet, filled with machines and strange herbs. On the bed, a young alien boy lay pale and shaking. His breathing was weak. Black poison veins ran along his arms. Kryn knelt beside him, his voice soft now. "He is all I have left." Liana stood at the door. She felt the pain in the room, the sadness, the fear. She had felt it many times before on Earth. She walked slowly to the boy and placed her hand on his chest. His skin was cold. Liana closed her eyes and let the light flow. Her hands glowed gold again. A wave of warmth moved into the boy's body. The dark veins began to fade. His chest rose slowly, then stronger. His fingers twitched. The machines beeped once, then again. Kryn gasped. "He's breathing." Liana opened her eyes. She was pale, tired, but still standing. "I need rest," she whispered. "You saved him," Kryn said. "No one has ever done that." She turned away. "I didn't do it for you." That night, Liana was given a clean room knot, a cell and warm food. Servants brought her clothes, soft and silver. She didn't trust any of it, but the boy lived. That mattered. She stared out the window. The stars above looked the same. Somewhere out there, Tarn was still hiding. He'd be watching. But something deeper troubled her. She had healed again, but it had taken more energy than before. Her light was changing, growing stronger, but also harder to control. What would happen if it broke free? The next morning, Kryn visited her again. "You don't have to run anymore," he said. "Stay here. I can protect you. No lab will touch you under my rule." Liana looked at him. "You don't want to protect me? You want to use me?" He didn't deny it. "You are power," he said. "And power is meant to be used." She stood. "That's what the lab thought too. But I won't be your weapon." Kryn stepped closer. "Then you'll make enemies. Even warlords fear what they cannot control." She smiled faintly. "Good." As she left the palace that night, her mind was clear. She had healed a child. She had stood before a warlord, and she had survived. But she would not stay. Liana Voss was no longer a captive. Now she was something else. A myth, a threat, a hope. And the galaxy was about to learn what she had become. The holoscreens lit up across 5 star systems. A single face appeared on every bounty board. Wanted. Liana Voss power. Unknown. Ability. Healing. Danger level. Extreme. Capture alive. 2 million credits. The message was clear. She had become a threat to more than just the labs. Now the warlords, black market rulers, and even bounty hunters were watching her. Everyone wanted her, and Liana was on the run again. She traveled by stolen ship, a small fighter barely holding together. Moved through asteroid belts and dusty planets, staying off main paths. She wore a dark hood and old pilot gear. Her hands, once glowing brightly, were now wrapped in gloves, but even hidden. She felt it, eyes watching, traps waiting, and the light inside her. Changing, she landed on a junk planet called Grather Sixa, lawless world where no one asked questions. A place full of broken machines, toxic air, people trying to disappear. Perfect for her. She stepped into a dusty outpost, coughing from the smoke in the air. Metal-headed aliens sat at tables, drinking black oil and watching her carefully. Behind the counter, a half-robot bartender stared with one red eye. "No weapons, no trouble," it said. "I just need rest," Liana replied. The bartender nodded and pointed to a back room. She sat there alone, breathing slowly. Her body ached. Her light was unstable. Every time she used it, it drained her more. She was healing others, but hurting herself. Something was wrong. An hour later, she felt the danger before it came. 3 bounty hunters entered the outpost. They were fast, silent, dressed in black armor. One had 4 arms and laser knives. Another had a brain exposed behind a glass dome. The third wore a mask with red eyes and moved like a shadow. They didn't speak. They just came for her. Liana stood. Her heart pounded. She didn't want to hurt anyone, but she wouldn't be taken. Again, the first one leaped at her. She dodged and sent a flash of light from her palm. He flew back, crashing through a wall. The second fired a stun blast. She raised her hand and caught it midair, then turned it back. The blast hit him in the chest. He dropped, but the third was already behind her. A blade sliced her arm, she gasped, and fell to one knee. Blood dripped. Pain surged. The bounty hunter raised his blade again, but before he could strike, a flash of red light hit him from behind. He screamed and fell. Liana looked up. A figure stepped out of the smoke. It was Tarn. He looked older. His silver hair was longer, his eyes tired, but his voice was still calm. "Told you I'd find you again." Liana smiled weakly. "Took you long enough." He helped her up. "We need to leave," he said. "The bounty will only grow." "They want me alive," she said. "But for how long?"
No.
Tarn looked at her glowing wound. It was already closing on its own. "They don't understand what you are." "Not yet, do you?" she asked. He didn't answer. They escaped Grother 6 in Tarn's ship, a quiet cruiser called the Ember Ghost. It had stealth shields, old human tech, and just enough food for two. People hiding from the galaxy. Liana lay on the medical bed. Silent Terran patched her arm. "Your healing's different," he said. "It's faster, stronger. It's not just healing anymore," she whispered. "It's like something's building inside me. Power, but I don't control it. I feel it watching me, testing me." Tarn frowned. Maybe it's not just power. Maybe it's a key. A key to what? He stood and looked out the window. To the war that's coming. Over the next days, Liana rested. Tarn showed her what he had learned. The lab that changed her was not the only one. Dozens existed. Across the galaxy, beings like her were being created. Not all survived. Not all stayed peaceful. Some had become weapons, living storms. Healers, who turned into destroyers. Liana was one of the few that could still choose, but time was running out one night. While orbiting a quiet moon, a message came through. It's an old signal hidden deep. It wasn't from a bounty hunter. It was from someone. Like her, a voice, soft and tired. "They made me too. But I'm not like you. They broke something in me. If you hear this, come to Alarian Prime, before I lose what's left of myself." Liana listened in silence, then looked at Tarn. "I have to go." He didn't argue, but his face said what his words didn't. They were running out of time. In the dark of the ship, Liana looked at her hands again. They still glowed faintly. But now, when she closed her eyes, she didn't just see light, she saw fire. The ship Ember Ghost moved silently through deep space. Its engines hummed low as it entered the orbit of a forgotten world, Alarian Prime. Liana stood at the front window, staring down at the dead planet. It looked hollow. Broken cities lay in ruins. Giant cracks split the surface like old scars. The sky was greenish-gray, full of lightning. Nothing lived down there, except one. The one who called her. The broken one. Tarn stood beside her, hailed a scanner, frowning. No life signs. Doned. Power signals. It's a graveyard. But someone sent that message, Liana said, and I'm going. You shouldn't go alone. Have to. Whatever happened to her could happen to me. Tarn wanted to stop her, but he saw it. In her eyes, the same light from the lab, stronger now. It wasn't just power anymore. It was purpose. Liana landed alone in a small dropship. She touched down in what used to be a city center. The buildings were half melted. Wind howled between metal skeletons. She walked slowly, every step echoing. Her gloves were off now. Her hands glowed faintly in the dark. Then she heard a whisper, not in her ears, in her mind. "You came." Liana turned. A figure stood at the top of a broken stairway. She looked like Liana, same build, same alien markings, but her light was red. Her eyes glowed with pain. Her name was Riva. Riva stepped down slowly. "They said you healed the warlord's son." "I did," Liana said. "I used to heal too." "Until it turned into something else?" Riva raised her hand. A flower near her turned to ash. "My gift became a curse. Every time I healed someone, it took a piece of me. Then one day I didn't. Stop the pain, I caused it. Liana walked closer. Why call me here? Because you're next. I saw it. The light inside you is growing too fast. It's trying to take control. Liana shook her head. I still choose what I do. For now, Riva said. But when the labs created us, they didn't just give us power. They gave us a signal, a switch. When they flip it, we become theirs again. Suddenly, Liana felt it, a sharp pain in her head, a high-pitched sound deep inside her skull. She fell to her knees. Her hands burned with golden light. Then read, "No, not now," she whispered. Riva stood over her. You feel it now? The labs are calling you. They want their weapon back. Liana's body shook. Her vision blurred. The light wanted out. But then a voice broke through the noise. Turn. Over the radio, Liana. Get out of there. The lab's beacon is activating. You need to block it, she gasped. How, you're not just a weapon, you're you. Fight it. Push the light down. Liana forced her eyes open. She took a deep breath, and instead of letting the power rise, she pulled it back inside, like closing a door in her mind. The red faded. The pain stopped, and she stood. Riva looked shocked. You stopped it. Liana nodded. I won't let them control me. Ever again. Suddenly, the ground shook. A giant lab ship appeared in the sky. Its engines roared like thunder. It had followed the signal, had come for both of them. Riva panicked. They're here. Liana reached out her hand. Come with me. We still have a choice. Riva looked at her glowing palm, then shook her head. They already broke me. She ran into the ruins and vanished. The lab ship opened fire. Explosions tore through the broken city. Liana ran back to the dropship, dodging blasts. Tarn's voice came again. I've locked onto your signal. I'm pulling you out. The Ember Ghost swept down low. A tractor beam caught the dropship and pulled it up just as the lab ship fired again. Liana looked down through the glass. Riva stood on a tower, glowing red, and facing the enemy alone. Then she was gone in the blast. Back on the ship, Liana sat in silence. Her body was shaking, but her mind was clear. She saved me, Liana said. In her own way, Tarn nodded. But the labs won't stop now. They know I broke the signal, that I resisted. I'll send something worse next time. Liana looked out the window at the stars. Then I'll be ready. That night, while Tarn slept, Liana stood alone in the control room. She held out her hand. The golden light appeared again. But this time, it didn't shake. It didn't burn. It danced. She was learning, and next time, she would strike first. The galaxy was changing. Liana had broken the lab's control. She had healed, escaped, and fought back. Now, she was no longer just wanted. She was hunted. The labs had created something deadly, a perfect tool to bring her in. A being with no heart, no soul, no fear, the Hunter of Light. Its name was Nyrex. Tarn's ship, the Ember Ghost, moved quietly through empty space. But Liana knew they were not safe. She could feel something. Following her always just behind, she told Tarn they've sent someone. He didn't doubt her. Then we changed direction. Deep void route. No signals. No beacons. But it didn't matter. 3 days later, she woke up in the middle of the night with a cold feeling in her chest. It had arrived. The ship lights turned red. Warning alarms echoed. Tarn shouted from the cockpit, "We've been boarded." Liana ran toward him, but something was already inside the ship. The lights flickered. Then she saw it. A tall, black-armored figure stepped through the shadows. No face, just a mask with a thin red line glowing across it. It didn't speak. It didn't run. It walked slow, like it had all the time in the universe. Liana fired a shock blast. It raised one hand, and the blast froze in midair, then vanished. Tarn fired next with a heavy laser cannon. The shot passed right through the hunter. It's like it wasn't even there. It was using light-bending tech. Or maybe something more. Liana stepped forward. I'm not afraid of you, she said. Nyrex stopped. You should be. it answered in a hollow, echoing voice. I am what they made to fix their mistake. You. Then it moved. Fast, too fast. Liana raised her hands. Her golden light shot out in waves. Nirox dodged every strike. It wasn't just fast, it predicted her moves. It struck her in the chest. She flew back, hit the wall hard, and gasped. Her light flickered. But she stood again, and this time she changed the way she fought. She stopped using her light. As a weapon, she used it as a shield. Her body began to glow fully, her skin shining. Bright gold. The ship's walls lit up. Nirox tried to move in. Again, but his hand sizzled against the glow. He stepped back. You've grown, he said. You don't know what I've become, she replied. Then she sent out a shockwave not to destroy but to overload the power systems around them. The ship's lights exploded. Everything went black. Only Liana's glow remained in the dark. Eric's finally hesitated, just 1 second, and that was enough. Tarn dropped a magnetic field bomb behind him. Boom. The hallway collapsed. Liana and Tarn ran toward the emergency escape pod. She shouted, We can't win this fight, not yet. Tarn didn't argue. They launched the pod just as Nirex burst through the smoke behind them. But he didn't chase. He watched and whispered, I'll be waiting, healer. The pod landed on a quiet moon, small, cold, with deep caves. Tarn checked Liana's pulse. She was weak but awake. I didn't know light could be a shield, he said. Neither did I, she replied. But it saved us. She leaned back, breathing slowly. Her light was changing again, becoming something bigger than she imagined. That night, inside a cave, Liana spoke softly. They're afraid now. Of you, Tarn asked. She nodded. Not just me. Of what I represent, a weapon they can't control, a healer who can fight. Tarn sat beside her. What do we do next? Stop running, she stood. We build something. A message. A signal to the others. If I escaped, maybe others can too. You want to start a war? Tarn asked. No, she said. I want to start a rescue. On a far planet, hidden in shadows, Nirox knelt before a screen. The lab leaders watched him. She escaped, one said coldly. But she learned, another replied. Exactly as we planned. Nirox looked up. She is becoming the final form. The light is awakening. The screen went black. In her cave, Liana carved a symbol into the wall. Not a mark of fear, but of hope, and across the galaxy. Quiet whispers began. Of a woman with glowing hands, of a healer who defied empires, of a prisoner who became a light. It's bright to break. It started with a single signal, a soft pulse through the dark parts of the galaxy. You are not alone, Liana. Sent it using an old frequency one the labs thought was lost. It wasn't a cry for help, it was a call to rise. Within weeks, she got answers. Some were whispers, some were screams, but many were from people like her, other test subjects, other prisoners, some broken, some hiding, some ready to fight. Her light had reached them now. The final move had to be made. Tarn stood beside her, checking his ship's controls one last time. You sure about this? He asked. Liana nodded. The lab world must fall. If we don't destroy the core, they'll just keep making more of us. More weapons, more slaves. Tarn sighed. Then let's make them see what they created. They weren't going in alone. From the shadows of space, ships began to arrive. Old warfighters, smugglers, pirate captains, survivors, and others like. Liana, some glowed blue, some green. One shimmered with light and shadow together. They had all escaped the labs, and now they followed her, not because she was the strongest, but because she had hope. The lab world was cold, black like a dead star. Its orbit was surrounded by defense rings, turrets, and AI-controlled destroyers. As Liana's fleet moved closer, red warning lights lit up across the enemy base. The labs had expected this, and they were ready. The first wave hit hard. Explosions lit the space around them. Turn flew, the Ember Ghost through tight gaps, avoiding missiles and blaster fire. Other Allied ships returned fire, but the labs had one last. Weapon.NY Rex, He launched out of the central core like a shadow, moving through space. Faster than any fighter, he tore through one ship, then another. Liana stood at the back of the ship, her hands glowing. "He's coming for me." "Let him," Tarn said. "We're almost at the planet." The plan was simple. While the others fought in space, Liana would land and destroy the lab's power source. It wasn't just energy, it was the signal Kortha. A thing that controlled every experiment, every hunter, every dark creation they ever made. If she broke it, the lab lost everything. She landed hard in the center of the lab world. The buildings were tall, metal, and cold. The sky was filled with smoke and fire from the battle above. Inside, alarms rang, machines screamed. Guards came, but she walked through them, like light through glass. Her power was pure now, focused. She didn't attack them. She healed them, and they dropped their weapons in shock. At the center of the main tower, Signal Corps pulsed like a giant black heart. It spoke in a voice that echoed through the room. "You are not in control. You are a function. Return to your state." Liana stepped forward. "No, you were made. You will obey." "No," she raised her hands. Golden light exploded from her body. It filled every wall, wire, and circuit. The Signal Corps screamed. It tried to fight back, sent pain through her brain, tried to twist her light, but she had learned. Her gift was not just healing, it was freedom. The core cracked, its red glow turned orange. Then white dot, then dash. Boom. It shattered. The signal across the galaxy died. Nyrax flying toward her on the surface. Froze in the sky, his mask cracked. He dropped to the ground, and when he looked up, he wasn't glowing red anymore. He was just one. Man, tired, lost, free. All across the galaxy, others like him collapsed to their knees, the ones who had been controlled. Were now awake. Some cried, some screamed, but all of them were free. Liana walked out of the lab tower, light still burning around her. Tan landed nearby. He stepped out and looked around at the destroyed towers. "It's over," he said. "No." She replied, "It's starting," he smiled. "Then what now?" She looked to the stars. "We help rebuild. Heal the broken. Find the others. Share what we are." Tarn laughed. "So, no rest for the light. Not yet." Weeks later, a new station was being built out in open space. Not a lab, not a prison, a sanctuary. Liana stood on its highest deck. Dozens of people like her worked around her, learning to control their power. To use it for good, Tan walked up holding a small glowing device. New message coming through. "Another survivor wants to learn," Liana smiled. "Tell them they're welcome." And in the stars, stories spread of a woman who turned pain into power, who was taken as a prisoner, but became a healer even warlords feared. Her name became legend. Not as a weapon, not as a god, but as a light, a final light that never faded.